We're talking about the outer world, and that's another part of the third question is like, how do we consistently reframe our mindset now to structure our inner and outer world, having that balance and producing or crystallizing thought?
Oh, can I go? So,
Yeah.
'cause as soon as you said a reframe, my Manny, I thought about like what my answer was for that question. Like, how do I consistently reframe? The For me, the only thing that consistently doesn't stop is my breath. Like, of course, there are other things. The second thing I thought about was my mind, but my breath is like the most involuntary thing, right? And so when I get triggered, upset, off of my positive mindset state, yeah, I come back to the breath. I come back to the breath and I'm like, is it labored? Is it too slow? Like, am I hyperventilating? Like, you know what I mean? Do I have any headaches? Then I go to a body scan. So it's always my consistent thing is to check in with my body. Because I know my body speaks loud. I will have a headache. It will be like in my temporal region. So like a migraine. Maybe my body might feel fatigue. I just want to lay down. I don't want to get up. I just feel like, ugh. And that moment when that comes in, it's like, okay, I created this acronym just for y'all today. That's why I was like, oh, it came to me. It came to me because like that's how the downloads work. When a question is presented, if I'm still enough, if I'm quiet enough, things will come to me. So the acronym that came to me was sit down. And so that stands for see what's happening around me. Like, let me assess that situation. The I stands for intention. What was my intention originally that had me, that had me need to reframe? And then what's my tone? Because I realized, well, and this is not just in my family. We all talk so loud sometimes. Like, there's just this volume that we want to go up to. And if I bring it down, though, it comes across very differently. So sit, right? See, intention, tone, down. Decide, what is it that I really want to get, right? Be open to the other person, open to what's happening, right? To the other perspective. And then for me, what works is writing. So I write down whatever it is that is not working, that needs to work, or whatever the other information from the download is coming to me. And then the N is next steps. What new next steps do I need to take so that this whole reframe, so that again, this consistency, it works. It works like a machine. I just put the information in and I get it right out. And so thank y'all for the question, because if it wasn't for that question, I would have not come up with just more something deeper than the breath. We could all connect to our breath. We could all connect to the body scan. But then what's next? Like, what did we create from that? So sit down.
That's
Ain't that so perfect? I'm sorry, I gotta call all y'all little play. Y'all gonna try to say something. I want to say it first. Yeah. Yo, that's so. First of all, no, you got too much talent. I'm coming through. But check this out. The fact that the acronym spells sit down, though.
Right.
It's the fact that out of all the things you could have said, you could have made an acronym for mad thing, and all of the see, intention, tone, decide, open, write it, next step. Like, listen, because sitting down is so hard. Being still is so daggone hard that people do not even understand. It's not. And if you think it's easy, you're not doing it properly. You're not doing it for real. Or you've been doing it for some time. So, like, I really, really love this sit down because it's just like I just need to tell myself to sit down. But now I have, some actual open-ended things like that I could actually use this for a 30-day journal prompt, and every day that I sit down. Yo, this was dope. I appreciate you so much. Yo, I'm telling you, man, you getting all the points. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Can I
thank
give
you.
a few more points? I think we all just want to feed off of that positive energy for a second. I just wanted to add to, like, obviously sit down was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that as well. That was a blessing and a download for sure. But on top of that, sit down, right? Look back at yourself, like, while you're sitting down. Like, I shared this with the group last week, I believe, to if you have a way of looking back at your pictures, your videos, your journals, or whatever the case may be, and see how far you've come. And that also answers a question from my perspective, anyway. How do you stay structured in the midst of the chaos? For lack of better words, look back at where you came from, because sometimes we forget how much growth we've actually accumulated in the midst of doing life, because life is going to constantly challenge you. So you forget, last year you may not have been this open. Last year you may not have been this honest. Last year you may not have been this evolved. And all of those things are important to look back at. So in whatever way you document things, because in this day and age, you're documenting something, some kind of way, even social media. Look back and remember who that person was and who you are now, and smile at yourself while you're sitting down, while you're reevaluating, while you're finding your center. That is so important. I've been doing that for the past week, and man, the growth. Just take the time to appreciate yourself. That'll push you to that next level and prepare you, truthfully, for that next step of growth.
I think the end of the calendar year is perfect for reflection, as you just put it. And what better way to reflect than to just sit down for a second? So people that watch this, they're getting some real tools to just go forth and, prosper with. And when I'm thinking about it, in my promo, I talked about how the things I say, things I'm thinking, and what I'm putting out there, getting a grasp on that is how I consistently reframe my mindset to structure my outer world, because it starts from within. And now when I'm thinking about sit down and what Adriana just added into it, that looking back, it's something that I'm going to use, just like Tone said. And this can be like until spring, to when that's going to be like, all right, time to step out with it. This is the new year for real.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Thank you all.
Yeah, I think for me, the journaling bit, it really stands out, because I was thinking, I love what you said about the breathing, because I don't think I've come to realize I'm not as in my body as everybody else. I don't look to my body. My body will always be a skin condition. That generally, that's how any this ease comes out in me, is through my skin. So to go to breathing is something that I'm starting to really practice and understand, like how deep your whole essence can shift if you breathe properly. And I realized as well, when Tania went through it, that I was shallow breathing. But when I reflected on this question myself, I thought, what do I do? And what I've always done is journal. And I think because I do it so much, I don't even notice I do it, if that makes sense. I've always got a pen in my hand and I'm always writing something down. And if I'm really distressed, that has been my practice for most of my life, is just write out whatever is distressing me. Because in that process, I come out feeling better. And then the other side of it, in terms of restructuring from an anxious state, is that I will create something, make something, put on, dance has been my other big thing, put on some music and just shock out, and feel that You know, things like freestyling, I just find funny. It's like that organic thing again, because all we know how to do is freestyle. Like it's a term that got put in because choreography became big, but our culture freestyles. So just drop some tunes and move your body, you know. So that's how I will restructure my inner world to reflect into my outer world.
Me, well, I said I just try to stay consistent, like to reshape my mind, because my mind is, I know everybody's, our mind is a powerful thing, but my mind does like strong bench presses, squats, dips. My mind is Olympic. But aside from like trying to stay consistent and just like keeping on, like sometimes when my mind like veers off, or sometimes I just let it. I said that. Sometimes I just let it. I'm not lying. Sometimes I let it. Sometimes I don't want to let it, but it just goes, and then I'll just like give it a timestamp, like, all right, you let this go on. But sometimes I let it go, and I'm like paying attention to it, if this makes sense. Like I will let a thought go, and I will pay attention to the thought as I'm letting it go. Because sometimes I want to know, like, why do I keep having this reoccurring? Like, why whenever I like something is going good for me, or I have a good feeling, or like why does this negative thing, I know it's from a fear or whatever, but why does this particular one always come into my mind when this, so sometimes I'll let it play because I want to see, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know, like, if like something's gonna click, or if I see something like in the thought, or like, so sometimes I let it go, but for the most part, when I'm having a thought, I instantly tell myself, like, that's the fear, or that's the whatever it is, like, oh, that's that spirit trying to take over. Like I talk to myself a lot. Like I talk to myself almost all day, like every day. Like I talk to myself, and I mean, like, really, I like the other part of me who sounds like me is in my head loud and clear. So this sounds crazy to be saying this on camera. We
You're
be
not the only
talking.
one. No, I'm gonna validate you in the moment. You're not crazy. I do the same thing. It's important, but go ahead.
No, it's serious. Like I'll be having a thought, and I'll be like, nope. Like I see, like you doing that again. Like no. And I get strong. Like I keep saying, like I get stronger, and the strength comes with consistency. It comes like some days and some weeks are more. It's harder to think and stay positive, and some a lot of times it's just easier. Like, but you have to stay. I just stay consistent. I just stay consistent through the times when I just feel like down, and I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I just feel like, yo, like maybe I'm on the wrong route. Like, but when I have those thoughts, I have them, and then I'm like, no, this, you already know, you always have those thoughts. You ain't getting nowhere from those thoughts. And I keep going on and on. So for my answer, my short answer, I just be consistent in being present. I have to consistently be present, like, because then I'm able to see, I'm able to know, like, when the other me is like playing those tricks, like no, So for me, it's just being present and being consistent and telling myself, like, nah, like we're not. Somebody do something to me at work, like in a sense, like even if somebody just do something stupid that I just feel like, instead of just getting an attitude, or having an attitude, or making that day hard because that person pissed me off, like I'm just present. So I'm talking to myself, like, you know what? It's not even his fault. It's like, this has nothing to do with me. This is who this person is, and like he don't even mean nothing by it. Like that's just blah blah blah. And I talk to myself like that throughout the day. So that helps me, not for the next question with actualizing abundance, but this, I do that to help reshape my mind from negative thoughts, because it's two different things.
I have
So
to say, I love that in your promo as well. So I think you win the promo prize this month, because that story was powerful. And I've got my own version of that story where I was working with this woman and she was just so aggressive. And it was just me and her in this little office. I was a temp. And she was just vexed every day, man. And there was one day where she stood over me and was shouting at me and the door was closed. And I had to get up and leave because I was either going to lose my temper. When I left, I was crying because out of frustration, because she was using her physical power over me as well. And I'm not a physical person like that. I don't fight, you know, it's not my first point of call. But I had to reframe in the same way that you said you reframed, and I had to change. I knew it was a spiritual test at the time. I knew it because I was like, God, why are you putting me in this room with this crazy ass woman? But when I got to the truth of it, by the time I left the job, we got on so well, and she bought me a present and she took me for lunch because my patience, and I prayed on it. And what it turned out was, what I didn't know was that she was grieving, was that her dad had passed away not that long ago. She was grieving her dad. She'd put on loads of weight. Her self-confidence had gone to the floor. She hated herself, you know, all this. And my patience for her, my reframing changed the dynamic. And I just thought what you said about you and your colleague, I thought, yeah, man, salute to that, because you make your life so much better because it's not about him. It's just about you. And that shift of perception makes your whole day more peaceful.
Right on the money. Right on the money.
Could I add a little something on the end of that? Not on
You
the
know
end of
you
what you said,
can.
Caroline. Actually, just to offer you something extra, Tone. Again, I want to validate the talking to yourself because it's important, but also to notice your thoughts. I thought that was really important that you mentioned that, and to yourself, to anybody else who needs it, the audience, whoever. When you notice that certain thoughts are repetitive, negative, positive, or indifferent, there's a reason for that. That's divine intervention, spirit, intuition, however you want to frame that. But when it's repetitive and it nags, it's something that you need to pay attention to. It's something that you need to do a little bit more exploration on. And usually, once you explore it, you'll find the answer, the solution, or what you need to reframe to better your situation, better your attitude, improve yourself. Just wanted to point that out. It's definitely an important point.
Absolutely. Um, um, that is absolutely true. Well, so that question was, how do you reframe your mindset, right? But this question that I'm about to ask is like, how do you actualize or see abundance when it's not your reality? So let me reshape the question. How do you see good? How do you see what you want when you are living what you absolutely do not want? How do you see the life that you crave and that you want, and if you are living the opposite? How do you actualize, how do you see, how do you manifest the idea of having the money or the job or whatever you want, the relationship, if you're behind on your bills, you're in that sense? How do you see what you don't see consistently and long enough to bring it into actuality, if you can?